Union News, March 17, 2024. Your weekly guide to the trade union and labour movement in the UK. Welcome to this edition of Union News, your comprehensive update on the latest developments within the trade union and labour movement in the UK. I'm Pat Harrington, and I'm thrilled to bring you the insights and stories shaping our collective journey toward fairer workplaces and stronger communities. Joining me is Tim Bragg, curating the musical backdrop for our journey today.
Legislation condemned as draconian attempt by Fire Brigades Union. The Fire Brigades Union, FBU, has sounded the alarm, urging fire service employers across England to defy the government's new minimum service levels. In a bold move, the FBU has labelled this legislation a draconian attempt to ban strikes. In a strongly worded letter dispatched to all fire service employers, the FBU warns that implementing work notices will not only strain industrial relations but also imperil public safety. The heart of the matter lies in the recently enacted Minimum Service Levels (Strikes) Act, which grants fire service employers the authority to issue work notices during strike periods. Under these regulations, the minimum service threshold for fire engines crewed stands at 73%, while control rooms are expected to function as if no strike were underway. However, the consequences for firefighters, control staff, and other fire service personnel who remain on strike after receiving a work notice are severe. Dismissal looms large. Parliament is poised to greenlight these regulations imminently, but their reach will be limited to England alone. Meanwhile, Scotland and Wales have taken a principled stand, vowing not to issue work notices or introduce similar legislation. Fire service employers span a diverse landscape, including fire authorities, police, fire and crime commissioners, PFCCs, mayors, and devolved administrations. Each employer now wields the power to determine whether to wield the axe against their workforce during industrial action. Matt Rack, General Secretary of the Fire Brigades Union, minced no words. The government's minimum service levels amount to a draconian assault on the democratic rights of fire service employees. We call upon all employers to reject work notices, rendering these new laws impotent within their local fire and rescue services. Let us agree not to punish any employee for participating in strike action. As the battle lines are drawn, trade unions nationwide rally against what they perceive as an attack on workers' rights. The Public and Commercial Services (PCs) Union, for instance, has initiated a judicial review against the Minimum Service Levels Act, arguing that it infringes upon the right to strike enshrined in Article 11 of the European Convention on Human Rights. The stakes are high, and the FBU's call to arms reverberates across the firefighting community. Will employers heed the warning and stand firm against this draconian attempt? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the flames of dissent continue to burn.
GFTU Educational Trust launches, Activists Unite to Support Trade Union Education. In a dynamic gathering at Parliament, the Friends of the General Federation of Trade Unions, GFTU, Educational Trust celebrated its official launch. The event brought together passionate advocates committed to advancing trade union education and empowering the next generation of workplace leaders. Labour MP Richard Bergen emphasised that self-education within the working class is a proud tradition of the trade union movement. The GFTU Educational Trust offers a diverse range of courses at reasonable prices. These include essential lessons on workplace organisation and an impactful education programme called The Roots of Racism, exploring its origins and strategies for combating it. Labour MP Apsana Begum highlighted that recent strike waves create unique opportunities for the union movement to engage and inspire the next generation. Young people are increasingly curious about trade unionism and seek to understand its impact. Zita Holborn, representing the Artists Union England, praised the GFTU's invaluable courses. By allowing trade unionists to collaborate across different unions, these courses foster solidarity and a broader perspective. Representatives shared their experiences of using GFTU courses to enhance their skills. GFTU President and PFO General Secretary Sarah Woolley, fresh from a course at the Quorn Grange Hotel, humorously quipped, "Union General Secretaries don't know everything, I've been learning too." For more information and to explore the Trust's offerings, visit the GFTU website. Let's build a stronger, informed, and united trade union movement.
Debt advice charity leaves vulnerable clients in the dark, shocking staff dismissals. In a shocking turn of events, debt advice charity Rooted Finance has left vulnerable clients stranded after dismissing 2/3 of its frontline staff. The abrupt sackings occurred on the same day that union members announced strike action. The Independent Workers of Great Britain, IWGB, is representing the affected staff. Workers had requested trade union recognition, citing concerns about insufficient pay, inadequate training, and poor working conditions. Management's response included disciplinaries and one-on-one meetings, which staff interpreted as an attempt to intimidate them. Just hours after announcing their strike plans, workers were dismissed remotely and locked out of their work laptops. At least one worker was reportedly assisting a client when his laptop was switched off remotely. Another worker, Joseph Larkin, fears that clients will discover the lack of caseworkers only when bailiffs come knocking. The charity's actions have shocked both staff and clients, raising serious questions about management practices and client welfare.
PCs union launches bold strike ballot, demands fair pay and justice. The Public and Commercial Services, PCs, union is gearing up for a seismic showdown. In a resolute move, they are launching a nationwide strike ballot across the UK civil service, championing their cause for equitable pay, pensions justice, and job security. The PC's national executive convened on March 6, mapping out their battle strategy following extensive consultations and the submission of their pay demands to the Cabinet Office on February 16. Now, the stage is set for a statutory postal-only ballot, opening on March 18 and closing on May 13. Mark your calendars for May 15, when a special NEC meeting will unveil the results. So, what are the PCS's demands for the 2024-25 fiscal year? Cost of living rise. They're gunning for an inflation-proofed increase coupled with pay restoration. Pay equality across departments. No more playing favorites. Every department deserves a fair slice of the pie. Living wage, a bold call for a minimum hourly wage of £15. London waiting, a provision of at least £5,000 per year to tackle the capital's high cost of living. Generous annual leave, a minimum of 35 days off to recharge those bureaucratic batteries. Workweek trim, they're eyeing a significant reduction in work hours without sacrificing a single pound of pay. Trade dispute letters have been dispatched to employers at all levels, spanning 206 bargaining areas and encompassing nearly 150,000 PCs members. The message is clear: fair treatment or fiery action. But that's not all. The PCs has a strategic ace up its sleeve. As the Cabinet Office prepares to release its annual civil service pay remit guidance on March 31, the NEC aims to send a resounding signal. They're dead serious about industrial action if their demands aren't met. Their priorities: an inflation-proofed raise and measures to combat low pay, especially the impact of statutory hikes in the national minimum wage. The gauntlet has been thrown, and the PCs union marches forward, ready to reshape the landscape of civil service employment. Will the government heed their call, or will the halls of bureaucracy echo with the footsteps of dissent? Only time will tell. Stay tuned for the verdict.
And finally, Labour's New Deal for Working People, a balancing act or a betrayal? Keir Starmer's New Deal for Working People has ignited both hope and apprehension. As the Labour leader seeks to bridge the gap between workers' rights and business interests, questions loom large: will this be a fair compromise or a sellout? The Financial Times, Foot, reports that Starmer aims to allay business fears by promising consultation with industry leaders before implementing reforms. But what exactly lies beneath the surface? Leading business figures have raised their eyebrows. Commitments to far-reaching employment reforms within the first 100 days of a new Labour government have left them uneasy. The fear? That radical labour market changes might shift the balance between profit margins and worker well-being. Starmer's strategic move involves dispatching senior colleagues, Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves and Deputy Leader Angela Rayner, to soothe business nerves. But lobbyists at business groups are poised to voice their concerns. Will their worries find a receptive ear? Senior Labour figures insist they aren't watering down their plans. Yet, the language has softened. A single status for workers, the fate of zero-hours contracts, and fair pay agreements are now part of the conversation. But is this a genuine commitment or a tactical maneuver? Rayner, the shadow cabinet minister, says businesses should not fear the reforms. Engage with us, she says. But will this engagement water down proposals in favour of the bosses? The Conservatives pounced on Labour's 2021 New Deal for Working People. They argued that a Starmer-led government would harm businesses and stifle job creation. Top executives nod in agreement. The battle lines are drawn. But which side will Labour ultimately fall on? While policy shifts remain murky, the stakes are high, whispers persist: will the New Deal lose its edge? The Foot hints at a softer approach, especially regarding workers' status, contract terms, and pay fairness. As the clock ticks, workers and business leaders watch closely. Will this New Deal be a beacon of progress or a missed opportunity? The verdict awaits.